What up, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. Now, in this video, I'm going to be responding to the worst hit piece video that was ever made about me. Now, there is a delusional dimwit out there who goes by the name of They Live Truth. He used to go by the name of Russian Vids. It probably doesn't ring a bell because he's completely irrelevant and has been irrelevant for many years. So this dim-witted, delusional fellow whom I speak of, he dupes his audience into believing some of the silliest things, such as he tells his audience that the sun shrinks into a tiny dot, shrinks into a tiny little pinprick, and disappears. It's his claim that the sun never actually sets. It just shrinks as it moves away from you and turns into a little dot and disappears. He says that this only happens at certain locations around the Earth. Now, I have debunked this silly notion in the past, but he recently made an entire video doubling down on this silly notion that the sun shrinks into a freaking dot. So I asked my audience during a live stream, hey you guys, have you ever seen the sun shrink into a little tiny dot? And of course the unanimous answer was no, never, not ever once, from everyone in my chat, because, you know, the sun doesn't shrink into a dot, of course. Now, I said, there are some YouTube videos out there which might make it look like the sun is shrinking, but in real life, with your own two eyes, have you ever seen the sun shrink into a tiny dot and then disappear? And everyone unanimously agreed, no, it doesn't do that. Of course not. So, in today's video, we are going to debunk this silly, delusional man and all his silly claims. So strap in, we're about to have a whole lot of fun. So let me ask you guys this question I asked earlier, let me ask again. How many of you guys have seen the sun shrink into a tiny little dot? With your own eyes, not in a YouTube video. With your own eyes, how many of you guys have seen the sun get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until it's like a little pinprick of nothing? Be honest, with your own eyes, not a YouTube video, what you have seen. I personally have never seen any examples of that ever. Every time I've ever seen the sun with my own two eyes setting, it gets a little bit bigger as it hits the horizon. And it never, ever once has ever shrank into a dot, ever in my life.
That's because you're a complete imbecile that doesn't understand the most basic, fundamental things about the Flat Earth model. Let's get right to it. With the video footage I showed from my previous video with the sunset in Africa, where obviously you see the sun going towards the horizon and shrinking, getting smaller as it goes towards the horizon. This is obvious. And imbecile fake Jake doesn't understand what is taking place here.
So if you're following along, RV has claimed that the sun does indeed shrink into a little itty-bitty teeny-weeny dot, but you have to go to Africa in order to see it do that. That's his claim. I didn't make that up. I'm not straw manning him. That's his claim. Now, rather than just take RV's word for it, that everyone in Africa sees the sun shrink into a little tiny dot, I decided to see if there was any other video examples of the sun setting in Africa. Shocker, there are. And guess what? They don't look like the one that RV showed. And the sun doesn't shrink into a tiny dot. So, here's a few examples I found within a couple minutes of looking right here on YouTube. Roll them. So within a few minutes of searching for sunsets in Africa, I came across this video on a really small channel with only 22 subs. Now, I don't know who this girl is, but it appears that she is in Africa right now, and she's posting recent footage of the sun setting in Africa as of 8 days ago. So this is recent footage that we're looking at, and you guys, we can see the sun is obviously not shrinking into a dot. The girl who posted this footage says it's taken in the Masai Mara National Reserve, Kenya. Being so close to the equator means the sun rises and sets really quickly. Yeah, it does, but it definitely doesn't shrink into a dot. Now, I'm sure RV will say that this person is lying or that the footage is fake or not really in Africa, but why don't you go do your own research like I have and go take a look at this channel? It seems legitimate to me. Now, I can assure you I have no idea who this person is, but when I see, okay, African sunset, African animals, small channel, small view counts. Yeah, this seems like a legitimate channel to me. Now here's another video I found from another small channel, and this one is called Sunset in Africa, a visual poem by Christian Chris Zen. I wonder if he's a real Christian or if he's a fake Christian like RV. I wonder if RV would consider this guy a fake Christian for posting real footage of the sun going down in Africa. Look, it's not shrinking into a dot. Shocker. Oh, look, you guys, here's another example of an African sunset where the sun doesn't shrink into a dot. Yeah, I know. I bet you weren't expecting that. And here's a video that is 15 years old. This one's on the Africa Travel Channel. Guys, there is no shortage of African sunsets right here on YouTube, and none of them look like the one that RV showed with the sun shrinking. In fact, all of them look completely different. So these examples that Russian Vids is showing of a shrinking sun, these are cherry-picked examples, and I can assure you the majority of the sunset videos on YouTube in Africa show a big, huge orange or yellow sun going into the horizon. They do not show a shrinking sun like this.
Hey, what's up guys? Jake here, and I recently went to Monterey last week for a little mini vacation, and I was pointing at the skyline and saying how beautiful the day was and how crystal clear it was and how there hadn't been any spraying at all. And just as I mentioned a key word, which you'll see in the video clip, a plane came out of nowhere and flew.
Now look at Jake. What is he looking at? He's looking up at the sky at an airplane. He claims it surprised him flying over his head. But you see here, he's clearly looking at it. He's staging this 100% without a shadow of a doubt. Let's continue on. It's all going to make sense with fake Jake staging a simulation at this beach in Monterey, California.
Right basically at my head and entered my shot as if I was Truman in the Truman Show in that exact moment. Let's watch. Absolutely gorgeous, crystal clear. Ooh, you can see all the way across the bay. All the way across. Now, not one single chemtrail in the sky.
Look at that. Whoa.
The fake exasperation, like he's surprised or stunned that there's a plane flying over his head. Like I said earlier, you see him looking up at the sky. You see him looking right at it. Without a shadow of a doubt, he's staging this to push the nonsense garbage simulation theory.
That's right. You heard it correctly, folks. The guy who thinks that the sun shrinks into a little itty-bitty dot, yeah, that guy also thinks that I staged seeing an airplane. He thinks that I made up a story about seeing an airplane and it surprising me so that I could push garbage simulation theory. So he floated this theory that I staged seeing an airplane like 2 years ago. And guess what? It failed to discredit me then. So I guess he thinks by repeating what he already said 2 years ago is going to discredit me now in 2024? If it didn't discredit me the first time, and none of my subs gave a shit what he said, why would any of them care that he thinks that I staged seeing an airplane? What do I have to gain by saying that I saw an airplane?
100% busted. Definitely, this is the final nail in the coffin when it comes to fake Jake.
The final nail? That was the final nail? A guy who says that the sun shrinks into a dot says that I staged seeing an airplane. And this somehow is the final nail. In what? Final nail? My channel still exists, and I still have the same amount of subs that I had yesterday. So, what exactly is this final nail that you speak of? I'm still standing here, and in fact, I put together this little video here, which debunks the ever-living crap out of everything you said in your terrible, unwatchable hit piece video, which is among the weakest hit piece videos that have ever been done against me. So, beings that RV resorted to lying and slandering my name in an attempt to discredit me, it's only fair that I make an attempt to discredit RV, and I don't have to lie or slander him. I'll just use his own words to make him look like a fool. I'll just use his own words to embarrass and humiliate him. I'll just use his own words to destroy him permanently. You want to talk about a final nail? Here's your final nail, RV. Enjoy.
Bottom line is this. Anybody making videos on YouTube that is a so-called truth channel, and they're asked for money, they're a shill, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So again, anybody, I don't care who they are and what information they put out, no matter how good it might sound, if they mention money in any way, shape, or form, unsubscribe them.
Alright, you guys heard it straight out of the shillbag's mouth. He said if a truther asks for money in any way, shape, or form, you have to unsubscribe. Well, I'm on his most recent video about me, and it looks like he has a Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, Cash App. Well, it looks to me like he's asking for money in 3 different ways, which means, I guess according to his own words, you should unsubscribe from this guy. I mean, according to They Live Truth, formerly known as Russian Vids, if a truther asks for money in any way, shape, or form, you have to unsubscribe. You gotta do it, man.
Bottom line is this. Anybody making videos on YouTube that is a so-called truth channel, and they're asked for money, they're a shill, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So again, anybody, I don't care who they are and what information they put out, no matter how good it might sound, if they mention money in any way, shape, or form, unsubscribe them.
Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, Cash App. Yeah, that's 3 different ways of asking for money. So I guess he changed his mind about that. Right, RV? I guess you change your mind when it comes to begging for money. Right?
You have the Russian Vids YouTube channel and all the different colors for these t-shirts. As you can see, a long sleeve t-shirt as well with all the different colors. You can spare some money. I'm going to be very blunt, even though myself, I don't monetize, so this is the exception to the rule. For you guys out there that can spare some money, spare change, or whatever you have. So if any of you out there want to help out a little bit, can spare some money. Anybody making videos on YouTube that is a so-called true channel, and they're asked for money, they're a shield, period. So if any of you out there want to help out a little bit, and they're asked for money, they're a shield, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.